So that's become like a running joke, like we say our band name wrong. We were on tour in Florida at the beginning of the year, and one of the bands we were playing with down there was like the Frickas, the Shy Fricka, the frickin' Shania Twains, And I was like, yep, that's a good one, like we'll write that one down.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
And welcome everybody back to The Hang. We appreciate all of your viewership. We appreciate the questions you have from musicians and comments. Just like our guest today will be getting any of the questions that you ask or any of the comments. We want you to build relationships with the artists that we hang with. All right. So thanks for subscribing, telling your friends about us, following us on our other socials. And today on The Hang, I'm going to be honest, this is a first. This is a first for The Hang. You have not seen me do this before. We're going to hang with Jeremiah from the Frickashinas, which saved that 5 times fast. But I'm actually wearing a shirt for a very specific purpose. So I come with props today. So let me introduce you to Jeremiah with the Frickashinas. The Frickashinas are born of a bad band name, according to them, during COVID. Like, we all got bored. They had a desire to write while, like, their other 35 bands that these guys are in were on hiatus. And who knew that post-pandemic, they become like a staple of the Denver punk scene. So if you live in Denver and you haven't seen the Frickashinas locally, you're missing out. What are you waiting for? And I had the pleasure of meeting the band during what I guess is the pre-punk rock bowling eve, right? That I think it's Friday night at Hogs and Heifers. And we've been going back and forth, but here they are now. Jeremiah, welcome to The Hang. Thanks for hanging with us today.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate your patience on us connecting on this. I know we had to go back and forth a couple times to finally get a date locked in, and took a little longer than we planned, but we made it. And I do got to say right off the bat, first of all, I love the fact that you're wearing the shirt because we love our Trash Panda King. But I do have to say it's the Frickashinas.
See?
But here's the thing. We're the only ones that say that. So I'm fairly certain we made up the wrong word, or we gave it the wrong terminology, or, phonetic spelling or whatever, because we're the only ones that say it Frickashina instead of Sheena. So now it's become the joke of the band. Like you said it already, like we're born from a bad band name that nobody can say it, nobody can spell it, nobody can find it, but nobody else has it. So, it's we got that going for us.
Well, and look, if you're looking for a URL for a website, I don't think you found one that people were fighting over. Just to be honest, and I'm an East Coast guy, so I's, E's, it's all blends together, right? What you have to wait for is be careful that no one mistakes or has maybe a lisp and replaces the RI with a U.
My kids already tell me, my daughters are 7 and 10, and every now and again, my 7-year-old, we've sorted it out now, but she'd be like, "Daddy, I can't say your band name because there's a bad word in it." Like, what are you talking about? She's like, "Well, frick." Well, Frickashina, it's okay if you say the whole thing,
That's a great story. So everybody, look, you know how I am about supporting bands. This is a great shirt. Fits well, made of nice fabric. But the reason I'm wearing it tonight is not only because I love it, but the question is, what is a Frickashina?
Okay, so the Frickashina we stole the word. It's a made-up word. We absolutely stole it from the band Rise Against. There's a documentary from them from like 2010 or something. I still haven't seen it in since we came up with this because I can't find it, but I know it exists. And there's a scene of Zach getting interviewed, and they're talking about the writing process of the band. And he's like, well, we're doing this, we play the riff, and then Tim starts doing his Frickashinas over there, and then we write the song. And a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my God, like we all do that. Every songwriter, every musician goes sha 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 ba fa sha ha shika fricka fricka sha when you're coming up with a melody, but you don't have any words yet. And I was like, that is the dumbest word I've ever heard in my entire life. And I love it. And like that moment, I was like, I'm going to name a band that someday. And then went on and played in 10 other bands for a decade or more and never had a chance to use it. And I went and was, like you said, we're a pandemic baby. So the three guys in my band have had a different band called Center Scenes. So Justin's the singer, Brett's the bass player, and Sam Holder's our drummer. And their band is amazing. Amazing. They're like an indie rock kind of pop music. There was nothing about them that was punk rock at all. And they're incredible. And we were all best buds. We hung out all the time. We made a bunch of videos together, and their band couldn't play shows. My bands were taking a break and not doing anything. So I was hanging out with those guys making dumb COVID videos in their practice space. And we were like, I got these ideas. I'd love to just jam a couple songs, see if you guys want to help me out. So we wrote 2 songs, and immediately we're like, dude, these are actually kind of good. Like maybe let's just go record them because, our buddies own a recording studio here in town. We had our friend Scott. He's the guitar player for 10 Foot Pole. Came down from Canada. He's produced our entire record for us. Came down and recorded a couple songs, and we had the time. We had nothing else to do. Scott was super into it. He'd produced both of our other bands previously, and he's literally one of my best friends. So we got to work, recorded these 2 songs. Like, all right, these are turning out really great. Let's put them on the internet and share them with some friends and just see what happens. And the whole time, we didn't have a band name. We didn't have a plan. It was just, I had some riffs bouncing around in my head and some guitar parts. And these guys helped me make a couple songs. Then come fast forward, we got such a good response from it, and we were having so much fun. We started going to band practice like every week because we had none of us were working. None of us had anything else to do. So we, at that time you had your handful of COVID friends that you all like just decided that we're cool with each other. I don't know what you do outside of this, but we can be together. It's fine. So we were doing that, and one thing led to another, and we literally got done. We'd written a couple more songs, and we used to go to our practice space at the time was shared a parking lot with this pizza place in town called the Walnut Room. Best pizza in town, in my opinion. Or it was at the time. I found a couple others I'm a little more partial to now. But we went over there to have some slices and a shot of whiskey, after band practice one day. And we asked the bartender that we were friends with, like, we have 2 band names that we're kicking around if we're going to turn this into a band name, into a real band. And we want to ask you your opinion. We said the first one is the Stab Party. And that was just a side project that I had. And I had years ago, I made a little guy who was like a Stabby McStabberson logo. And it was a switchblade going into the knife of like a character and blood squirting out. But he was like a happy knife. And so then she was like, I don't know. And then she was like, what's the other one? We go, the Frickashinas. And she goes, what the fuck is a Frickashina? And I'm sorry, I don't know if we can swear on this. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right there and then we were like, that's the answer. Like, she was dumbfounded by the word, and she's like, I need to know more about this word. And we explained it to her, and she's like, that is awesome. That's the band name. And right there and then it was solidified. So we started with, and at the time, like, I don't even know if I had really I kind of told the guys, like, there's this Rise Against thing, but we gave it an actual definition. If you look on our website, there's we made a sticker and a shirt that is the phonetic spelling of the Frick, shin, us. And then it's I can't think of what it says exactly, but it's basically to sputter words in a melody before you have lyrics for a song. So that's it.
That reminds me, what was his name? Rich Hall, the comedian Rich Hall. Do you remember him? He had those things. This goes way back. This is way back in the time machine. I'm probably going to age myself, but he had these things, these words called sniglets. You remember that?
Okay. No.
Sniglets. It was like words that they were made up words that, the one I always like, you push a button, you go to the elevator and you push the button and you think because if you push it more, it's going to show up. It's called L acceleration.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I like that.
So it's like he would make up all of these words and he called them sniglets. That's kind of like what you're talking about there, with making up the band name. I love it. I think it's great.
Well, it's fun too because every musician I've talked to, every single one that we've ever told the band, the origin story, so to speak, every singer is like, "Oh my God, I do the same thing too. I didn't know it had a name." Like it doesn't have a name. We made it up. We gave it a name. We gave it a definition. And I'm hoping someday that Rise Against is going to come after us and be like, "You can't use that. That's our word."
As long as they spell the name correctly in the press, that's all that matters, right?
As long as they say it right.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Webster's Dictionary, if you're watching, it's time for a new entry.
Yep. Yeah. I should look into that. I don't know how to submit that. That's a good idea.
So you mentioned something earlier that interests me, and we haven't even gotten into your musical background yet. But you said the other guys in the band did not come from punk roots.
Yeah.
And yet you guys are a punk band. Like, how did that all happen? Like, did you give, brainwash them? Like, it must be punk, or did it just kind of materialize the sound that you were able to create together as a group?
So to be clear, all three of them were in punk bands prior to Center Scenes. And then they'd had this Justin and Sam, the drummer and singer, had this band called No More Excuses that was like prog rock. Like songs were 7.5 minutes long and changed melody and key and time signatures, and they were just all over the place. And I vividly remember prior to that, Justin was a singer of a band like 15 years ago that was in like a Warped Tour band. They played main stage Warped Tour, did all that stuff. And he's such a good songwriter and is just so hooky and catchy. And I told him when they were doing that prog rock band, I was like, knock it off. I was like, just write hooks, dude. Like, you're so good at it. Cut these songs in half, get to the good part, and then get done. And that was like 10 years ago. And we laugh about it now because that's kind of our whole shtick is we're not trying to do anything that I got the best compliment ever for this band once, that we sound like every band you've ever heard before. You just don't know which one it is, and I was like, that's awesome. That we're so familiar, but you don't really know which band it is that you can't put your finger on it, but you've heard sounds like this before. It's comforting. It's normal. We're not doing anything you've never heard before. We're just doing a good version of it, And I thought that was a really good compliment. So once those guys departed from all the punk rock and the prog rock, and then they started Center Scenes, and it was insanely good. But then COVID happened, and they couldn't play shows. They couldn't do anything. And then I ruined that band, unfortunately. they were so good that I came along and messed it all up for them.
When they make the documentary about the band, all I can imagine is that scene and the guys, aren't you tired of playing 13-minute songs and 17 different time signatures, 5 of which require triplets and partially a waltz? Plus you got to remember all the lyrics and all of the chords that have extended notes in them. Aren't you just tired of that? Like, let's just play 4 chords and rock the fuck out.
Yeah. That's literally what it had. The agreement was I'm going to play all the chords and all the stuff, and Justin's just going to sing and play some accent notes. And, and obviously that's changed now. Our songwriting has developed significantly as a band, over the last almost 4 years now. Or actually it's August, right? It's almost exactly 4 years to the day.
Well, if you think about it, if the current name of the band doesn't work out, I got another one for you.
Okay.
Less is more.
There you go.
You could be the less is more, considering where everybody came was coming from.
Band, you know.
Well, that's
the
awesome.
different band names has become its own joke for us. So you mentioned that I met you at Hogs and Heifers, right? And so at Hogs and Heifers, we did an interview with them and their team after we played, and the owners of the bar kept calling us the fettuccinis. And we were laughing, and that's kind of become a thing in itself. That there's a radio station in town that plays us regularly, and Dana, the morning DJ, calls us the fettuccinis now.
Well, and Hogs and Heifers in Las Vegas. Hogs and Heifers is far from an Italian restaurant. I could imagine if you had played, let's say, at Batista's Hole in the Wall,
right,
being the fettuccinis.
So that's become
awesome.
a running joke, we say our band name wrong. We were on tour in Florida at the beginning of the year, and one of the bands we were playing with down there was like the Frickas, the Frickashina Twains. I was like, yep, that's a good one. We did a whole campaign of people saying our band name wrong a couple of years ago, and put it out as all these singers of bands that we're friends with from all over the country, had them send in some videos, and our friends, and every one of them said it wrong. And then we put it all together, and we're the Frickashinas. Come see our show. You know what I mean? So
that's super creative. That's super great. You know what's interesting about this conversation so far? We've been hanging for 16 minutes, and nobody still knows anything about your music. So let's talk about the band's music.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I know. Because I think we could probably spend the next half an hour riffing just on the name. I mean, you guys do it all the time. So the music itself, you've got one album out. If you were to describe kind of that, and I like how you talk about the comfort food, the comfort in it, that you it's like it, but you don't. So there's something that draws you in. Give everyone a kind of a description or an idea, paint them a picture of what the music's like. We're going to get them to buy it before we're done with this, by the way. But for those who don't know, kind of paint that tapestry for them of what to expect and some of the themes in your songs and your lyrics and some of the sound. Give them kind of an idea of what that's all like. All
right. Well, at the core of what we do, we're a punk rock band, right? Where we write verse, chorus, a lead part or a solo or a bridge or whatever, breakdown, and then we're done. So it's pretty standard songwriting style. But what's cool about our band, the way that we consider ourselves a punk rock band, but we're kind of more alternative rock. We don't really scream that much. Our Justin is an insanely good singer. So he actually has a very clean voice, and he can sing in a couple different octaves, and, he can do an 80s ballad screams, but he can also sing pop punk, and so we do some time signature changes, and we do some soft to heavy stuff. Cause at the end of the day, let's face it, we're all 90s kids, we grew up on grunge and skate punk, so we're kind of an alternative rock band that leans a little heavier towards punk. And what's fun about it is every single one of us, we don't have one single song that was written by one member of the band. Most bands have the main songwriter or two, and they write the entire song, and then they come in and go, here's the song, you put your special sauce on it, and then we'll call it done. And they already have the structure finished. And the way that we write songs historically is I usually have a guitar part or two, a riff and a chorus and a little diddly thing, and we'll start jamming on it. And Brett, our bass player, he's the chef, right? He takes all of the parts and makes them all come together and figures out where the verse is going to go and changes the verse to the chorus and the chorus to the bridge and the bridge to the verse and switches it all around. And Sam, our drummer, actually sets the tempo of almost every song, and he'll tell us, that you got to speed that up. It's not fast enough, or slow that down. That part's messy if you're going too fast, And Justin, within seconds, can be frickashinaing over these ideas, And we talk about we record demos on our phones that we send between each other every single practice, every single songwriting. So we have, version whatever, 57, sometimes version 2 of songs that's what we take to the studio and go record. So it's we're a punk band, but I almost feel like that's not a. I hate saying this, but I feel like we are we're punk adjacent. I will say.
Punk adjacent, I love it. Well, if Punk Rock Bowling is watching, they need to be on a day stage next year, even if it's the punk rock adjacent stage. Because you guys did a show at Hogs and Heifers, right?
Correct.
Was that the first time you guys have been out to Punk Rock Bowling?
That was the first time we've played and been associated with playing punk rock bowling. So to be clear, that was the Punk Rock Saves Lives Hoedown. Punk Rock Saves Lives is a nonprofit foundation that we do a lot of shows with, a lot of work with. We work their booths with them at concerts around the town and around other areas. We're very good friends with Rob and Tina. We consider them family. They consider us family. And we were absolutely honored to get to play their main stage on Friday night of the Punk Rock Hoedown. And it's a fundraiser for their foundation that they do during Punk Rock Bowling. And it's approved by Punk Rock Bowling. Everybody is involved and knows what's happening. It's not some underground DIY basement thing. It's, we're 2 blocks away from the main stage at Hogs and Heifers, and Hogs and Heifers has been nothing but amazing to us as a band. They've been amazing to the foundation, so we're really proud to be a part of that, and really happy they invited us out this year.
Yeah, and that's how we met. I mean, I literally rolled up across the street from getting off a plane, and I saw the Punk Rock Saves Lives van, and I've known Rob since the Love Hope Strength days.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
I used to do the drives here in Dallas and in parts of Texas for Love Hope Strength, and that's how we knew each other. And there are no two harder working individuals with passion for the lives of people who love punk than Rob and Tina Rushing, bar none. Yeah. They want to make sure everyone has just the most amazing experience, but they do it in a safe and healthy way. So for anyone watching, check out Punk Rock Saves Lives. You never know what festival they may be up in, because the two of them travel around the country to music festivals all summer long. They are going gangbusters from the time the snow thaws till the time it snows again. So it was really amazing. That's how I came across you guys. I mean, literally, I was standing across the street. I had no idea Rob was even going to be. This was my first Punk Rock Bowling. It was amazing. Oh, nice. It was an amazing weekend. Did you stick around for any of the other bands? Did you stick around for the weekend? What was the high point of the weekend for you guys besides the performance?
Well, so yeah, I stuck. The whole band stayed all weekend long. We went to the actual festival, and also stayed at Hogs and Heifers most of the weekend as well, and bounced back and forth between the two. And I've been out to Punk Rock Bowling a few times. I've been in Hogs and Heifers a few times, and so I'm very familiar with all of it. And this year, staying at Hogs and Heifers and Punk Rock Saves Lives Hoedown made it really hard to go to the main festival, because the bands were so good. Every band this year was just amazing. And and seeing our friends Chaser, from Orange County, was on one night. Ignite was another one. Fourth in Line, Gas Station Boner Pills played right after us. And one of the most fun band names out there, and one of the most fun bands out there. And so there were so many great bands. I was like, I don't even want to. I bought festival tickets. I'd planned on going every single day, and I did for a band or two. And then I stayed at Hogs and Heifers every night because it was just so fun.
Listen, anyone watching, that speaks volumes for that event. It's Punk Rock Bowling adjacent. It's down the street, but you can spend your whole weekend there as well. Rob and Tina and their crew do a great job. So
Yeah.
It was definitely a high point. And I hadn't been in the same place as Rob in a number of years. So it was really great to see him. I don't think I'd seen him face to face since before the pandemic.
Oh, wow, man. That's great.
Let's talk a little bit about your musical journey. How did it start? Were you a kid who heard music and I'm like, oh my God, this is for me? Or did you find the music? Did it find you? What was the spark that ignited your musical journey?
My uncles, my three uncles, Joe, John, and Bub, all three of them. When I was a little kid, I remember, this going back a really long time. So some of these stories might be a little fuzzy, but I remember getting the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction cassette tape from my Uncle Bub. And my mom would let me listen to the G side, but not the R side, because she thought it was a rating of the content, not Guns N' Roses. But G
That's
content,
awesome.
R-rated content.
That's awesome. And for anyone who doesn't know, that was back in the day when the PMRC was lobbying for labels on records. That's why you have them on labels now, or on records now. So the fact that she thought that's just a great story.
Right. So that was where it all started. My Uncle Bub is the biggest AC/DC fan on the planet. So I was 8 years old or something, listening to 74 Jailbreak and Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and being taught the difference between Bon Scott and Brian Johnson, and that whole history of AC/DC. And I'll never forget the moment I wanted to play guitar. I was sitting at my Uncle John's house, and he was playing the introduction to Sweet Child of Mine on the guitar. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the whole world. It sounded exactly like the cassette, it was real. He could do it. And he was showing me how to do it. And sometime around that same time frame, I got a classical guitar from my grandma that she was I don't know if she was going to throw it away, or I don't even know how I ended up with it. But that was where it all started, man. I was 8 years old, banging out chords on this out-of-tune guitar, trying to learn how to play Guns N' Roses and hoping I could be as cool as my uncles, and we went to Minneapolis shortly thereafter, and my Uncle Joe had a whole music studio set up in his basement, and he had lights and a little drum riser stage and drums and guitars and bass, and we get to jam on all of it, and I was like, this is what I want to do, man. I don't want to do anything else, and I had some crappy bands in high school that, we didn't really have a band name half the time, but we jammed out some songs and sang in the garage and, smoked pot and drank beer like you do. And none of them went anywhere or did anything, but I'm still friends with all of those guys to this day. We just played in Des Moines, where I'm from, about a month ago, and all of those guys came out to support the show, which was pretty cool. So then after that, I kind of gave up on music as a thing that I wanted to do, and I went to school and went to work, and I was skating and rollerblading and traveling around the country doing that. And then I moved to back to Des Moines from Minnesota in 2003, maybe 4 or something like that. 2002 must have been. And started a band called Thank You Donnie. And it was the first real band I was ever in. We toured, we traveled, we recorded songs, and we had no idea what we were doing. But we were out there trying, and we moved to Denver on a whim. Literally, we were in Chicago doing a skating thing, and one of our friends was moving to Denver, and he's like, you guys should move with me. We'll just get a house in the suburbs, and you can have your band out there. And we were like, yeah, we should do that. And a month later, we all moved to Denver. And
wow.
That's it. That band stuck around for a little while and ended up breaking up, and those guys moved back to Iowa, and we're all still best friends. We're playing a show with the singer's new band in a couple months, actually, back in Des Moines with Authority Zero too. So it's that whole story got us to Denver. That got me to Denver, and taught me how to be a musician and how to book shows and how to communicate with venues and other booking agents and touring bands, and I played in every band you can think of. If a band needed a bass player, guitar player for a little while, I filled in. I was Johnny on the spot for everybody. And that I just kind of became a staple of Denver's music punk scene, and then the pandemic hit, shut my band down. I was in a band called No Bueno for 10 years, and we played a bunch of shows and toured and did all the stuff. And that band wasn't getting together. We were going to keep it our distance. We didn't know what was happening during the pandemic. And so they just kind of eventually decided they weren't going to play as much, and I wanted to play more. And so I eventually played my last show with No Bueno in 2022, 21 or 22 with, we got to open for Face to Face, Bouncing Souls, and the Suicide Machines, which was, the opportunity of a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And then for it to be my last show with that band ever was pretty incredible. Pretty good way to go out, And I was taking a huge gamble because that band was established. We were doing good things. We were playing good shows, and I was going to go after this band that with a dumb name, and and who knows what's going to happen, And luckily, I feel like it paid off, So.
Yeah. You've got one album out, right?
Correct.
So far,
one
album.
Gold record on the wall.
There's you got a dozen tracks on there?
Correct.
Was it dozen tracks? So if I was going to go out and purchase the album, hello people, this is a hint. Forget like what song was like, whatever you released as a single or whatever like that. If I wanted to be introduced to the band, what's the one song I've got to go to and listen to on this record?
Okay, we have two songs that are currently, I consider, our singles. They have the most plays on the internet. We have music videos for both of them, but they're two completely different songs. The first song is called "I Like Your Band Better," and it's a very accurate name because we all are such a trumpeter and supporters of our music scene and our local bands and the touring bands in our touring circuit that we play with across the country. And it's true that I like your band better. I don't listen to the big bands of our genres. I listen to the local bands of every city we go to and become friends with all of those people. So that song's a pretty standard punk riff, verse, chorus type song. And it's a really good song. I like it a lot. And the other song is "Hey, Do You Want to Watch Me Die Again?" And here's a funny story. All right. When we started this band, I told the guys that I want to start a band that has the intricacies in songwriting like Taking Back Sunday, but some heavier hints to it like Rise Against. And our bass player, Brett, said no. He was like, I don't want to be in a band like that. That's not what I want to do for the songs that we want to write. And lo and behold, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the song "Hey, Do You Want to Watch Me Die Again" is that. It's that combination. It sounds like it could be Taking Back Sunday, but it also sounds like it could be Rise Against. It's a big, epic journey of a song, all in 3.5 minutes.
I was gonna say, but it's not prog rock.
Right. Right. Gotta be clear about that.
Big epic song. See, usually in punk, no one talks about a big epic song because they're, punk songs can be like, less than 60 seconds up to about 3 minutes. When you talk about a big epic, I'm like, he's going down that prog rock path again.
Well, that's why we're punk adjacent, right?
Punk adjacent. So besides the singles though, right? Because everyone's got one song on an album that's either it's their baby or they're just like, that one that they're like, that's that precious diamond for them, okay. Right? What's that non-single that you're like, this is the one song that I'm proudest of, and if I was going to just introduce somebody to the band, I'm going to play this one first?
MTV's The Frickashinas. MTV Real World, The Frickashinas. That song, another... fun song title, we're if nothing else, our song titles are pretty fun. Like we have a whole list that we keep, and we just pick titles off of the list when they're appropriate for the feel of the song. So MTV's The Real World, the Frickashinas. It's the last song on the record. We don't play it all that often. We do play it occasionally, but it's not one of our main songs. But it changes time signature. It's heavy when it needs to be heavy. It's got a really cool guitar riff on it. The choruses are super catchy, just real standard 4/4 punk rock. But then it jumps to this weird round time signature 5/4 thing that it's like it's not that hard to listen to, but I say it's hard to listen to because if you're trying to figure out the timing of it, it feels weird. So it's just a cool song, man, and I really really like it a lot. But we don't always play it great, so it sometimes gets left off the set list these days.
Oh, come on. With those prog rock roots, I mean, come on. 5/4, 7/8.
I crash and burn it because they're all better musicians than me. So it's always my fault. I have to redirect myself back into the song,
That's funny. That's funny. I'm going through a phase now. My niece is starting to listen to records. She got a record player. She's like 13 years old.
Cool.
And recently I was down in Houston. And I got to take her record shopping. And her first time walking into a store, a real record store, she says, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "That's heaven. That's a record store, right?"
Yeah.
So I was out recently at a record show, and I was going through old records, and I realized back in the day, an artist may put like as a B-side or on a 12-inch, they'd release a couple of demos. And it got me thinking, and you hit on the fact that you guys are doing demos on your phones all the time. It's kind of like what's happened to the lost art of the demo, right? Because I'm one of those guys, oh, wait a minute, it started here and it ended there. And I miss that creative arc because now you record into a computer, you get all your digital tracks, and you kind of lose that middle space and people don't hear that image. I mean, what's your thought about like the evolution of the demo and kind of that creative process? Are we missing something by not holding on to, that kind of here my original 6 tracks, 8 tracks, here's how it started and here's how it ended kind of thing? Because I kind of miss it. I kind of miss hearing that stuff.
I agree with you. I think the problem in my opinion is that people, because we can record at home now, people don't like the demo process is multi-tracked on a somewhat professional sounding system that by the time you get to the studio, there's really nothing more to produce because you've already done it. And because of but there's still a massive leap from a home studio recording that even if you could have the best gear, but if you don't know what you're doing in a good room, the room you're recording in makes a difference, without a doubt. And you have to have decent gear and you know how to use it. It takes more than just put a microphone in front of a speaker and hit record. You need to know where to put that microphone in the room based on that speaker and the science of the airflow and things like that make a huge difference. Like when we record our demos on our phones and we get the songs to about 80% done, 85% done. And then we go into the studio with the full intention of finishing the song there with the producer to tell us maybe you need to cut that last chorus in half and add a bridge and jump up an octave on when you sing that part. And that lead guitar part sucks. Start over, and we want to have that organic growth in the studio to make the song feel fresh again, because it's called, I'm sure you've heard people talk about demoitis, right? Like you've been demoing this song in your studio and it has to stay this way. It's the only way. And by the time you get to the studio and a producer says, cut that part in half, lose the intro. In fact, that song sucks. We're not even going to record it. You're like, well, but it's the best song we have. It's got to stay, and it's like, well, it's not, So I also think that because people think that recording the multi-track on your computer in GarageBand is the demo, and that's all you need. You don't need to finish it at that. Like we can still consider that a demo, right? But if I show you some of our initial multi-tracks, you're going to hear the massive difference from that to the produced song. But not everybody takes it to that next level to actually have a real producer mix it and edit it and engineer it. They just go, it's done, and they put it on Spotify. You know.
So let me ask you this quick. This just popped into my head, but I was in another conversation with another musician, and we were talking about, where we are now with social media and musicians always getting it right. Do you think that the anxiety of releasing something that's not perfect keeps people from kind of really thinking about the origin of where it came from, right? Because they just want that, like it's so that. But when you only had 4 or 6 tracks back in the day, and it was an interactive process, there were a lot more flubs. There were a lot more little things, nuanced changes. But now everyone lives in this world of, look at me and this is the perfect thing, right? Do you think that's hurt the demo? Do you think that that's done some damage because people are just so hyper focused on it has to be right or it's not good?
Well, that's an interesting take on it, because I think that the demo has died more exclusively from the fact that the days of sending your demo tape to a producer and a producer going, this song is great, I want to get you into a studio, we're going to put a bunch of money behind this and we're going to make you a famous band, those days are gone. Like, yeah. It happened to Billie Eilish, but the rest of us ain't happening, bud. So and to be fair, like her and her brother produced those songs. They didn't just hit record on a tape recorder. Like, they recorded them in their on a bedroom, but they really did them properly. But that aside, the demo doesn't exist anymore, because by the time a band goes into the studio to if you want to get signed and be a big band, you already have to build your business yourself first. The songs have to be produced and recorded, mixed and mastered on your own, and you have to prove to the labels that you're a commodity that they can make money from. So as a band, you can't afford to just do a demo and hope somebody hears it and goes, that's great, we're going to make you famous. You have to make it great yourself. And that means paying for a producer still. You still should have a producer come in and have that outside ear, help you mold your songs. You should still have an actual mixer mix your record for you. You should have a mastering engineer master your record for you. But I think a lot of people, kind of the opposite of what you said, that people want to just put out the most perfect thing. Too many people are doing the opposite, and they're just going, here's 4 tracks we recorded on our GarageBand on our laptop. Now it's on Spotify. Hopefully somebody hears it and makes us famous, and it's like, but it never does. Like those songs don't ever get out, because nobody's ever hearing them. So it's a very interesting time to be a musician in music. The MySpace generation changed everything. Yeah, we were able to, I remember being on MySpace and being friends with the drummer from Linkin Park and talking to him on a very regular basis and exchanging ideas on how to be a band. And he was in Linkin Park, man. Like, that was like the biggest band in the world in 2002, and that just changed the whole landscape of how we can record songs, put them out on Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, and anybody can hear it. You can fart in a microphone right now and it can be on the internet tomorrow, and you could get a 13-cent check from Spotify if my daughter finds it and listens to your fart song enough, because she does that. So, you may not get rich, but you can get that 13 cents.
Well, let's talk about that 13 cents. Everybody who's watching, go out and purchase the Frickashinas album
at our website.
Buy the vinyl on their website.
Yep. We have a fully store on our website.
Yeah, buy it from the store. Don't rent or lease it. Support these guys so they can make more music. Well, now, with that said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you were going to say.
Well, I was going to say that there's the ongoing joke in music nowadays is that we're all just t-shirt salesmen with a 45-minute sales pitch, but we've kind of embraced that. Like I think that our marketing with the Trash Panda King and the bright colors and the artwork on the album, the we try to we've got beach balls and we've got sunglasses and we've got gym shorts, and we don't have just one black t-shirt with our band name on it. Like, we've embraced having different logos and different designs and different colors, and trying to really be that t-shirt salesman, because the t-shirt, like, you go to a punk rock show in Denver now, you're almost guaranteed you're going to see a Frickashina shirt somewhere. Somebody's wearing one to every show because they look cool. And you said it right at the beginning, they're actually comfortable. We get quality garments with high bright colors and high quality prints on them. So that shirt's not going to fade in 6 weeks. You're going to have it for 6 years, and we've kind of leaned into that a little bit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as the music is good too. We've actually sold our records. We're getting some streams now. Like, people are listening to the music. The songs are on the radio in town. We have 2 different songs on 3 different radio programs on 2 separate stations here in town, which during drive time, during the day, like that's huge for us, and so it takes the total package. Like, if the music sucked, the Trash Panda King isn't going to sell records. He might sell a t-shirt or 2, but he's not selling records, and vice versa. If the music could be amazing, but if you don't have a cool design to go along with it that people actually want to wear, then, how else are you going to make money? Like, you can't go to your local record store and pick up the Frickashinas 12-inch vinyl. You have to get it from our website or at a show, because we didn't get signed to a label. We talked to some, and the deals just didn't make sense. So we put it out ourselves. We pressed it ourselves. So if you go on the Frickashinas.com, go to our store page or merchandise page and order a record, a t-shirt, one of us is going to pack that up, sign it personally, and put it in the mail and send it to you in the next few days. And sometimes we're out of town and you might not get it for another week or 2 because, but that's the pitfalls of dealing with an independent band,
Yeah, but I think that's the point, though. I mean, supporting the art, supporting the creativity, so that you're not getting a 12-cent check from, or a 12-cent payment, however you take it, from Spotify. I mean, art has value, and I guess the point is, everybody, if you find value in what they're doing, pay for it. Don't rent it. Don't lease it. Don't listen to it for free. Love it, like, because you purchased it and you value it. And I think that's super important.
But I will, thank you for that. I fully agree with everything you're saying. But I'm one of the few people, I think, especially in the punk rock industry, that I don't demonize or villainize Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. I use it. I buy music on Bandcamp too. I download the songs from the bands or SoundCloud or wherever. I buy vinyl of my friends' bands and listen to them at home. You're talking about your niece. I do the same thing with my daughters. We put the vinyl on, take it out of the sleeve, and it's a whole process. And it's something we do to experience music together. But if you're driving around in the car, pull up Spotify and listen to the Frickashinas, man, and learn the words and sing along, and then come pay $12 or $15 or $25 and come to the show, and buy the t-shirt and all that.
Yeah. And I'm not vilifying Spotify, but I there's a better way that the streaming platforms could treat musicians.
Sure. 100%.
And I'd like to see that business model change. But again, if you value this art, invest in this art. Paying $12 for an album is the same as buying a piece of art for your wall and you've put it up. It's you value it and you cherish it. And I think it's one of the things that's been missing, right? Because there's so much music out there, all over the place, and it's just become this commodity. I mean, we're going to wrap things up here in a second, but we could go on for hours about, the recent comments that were made by the CEO of I think Spotify,
Right.
Regarding that. So go out and support artists. Now, that being said, Jeremiah, who are a few bands that are like your earworms right now, things that you're maybe sharing with your daughter so they can find some new music? Who are a couple of them? And why do you like them?
All right. Get ready to dodge some name drops here. They're going to be falling like crazy. So I'll start with a couple local bands first that play here in Denver that, the first one is All Waffle Trick. They're kind of a upstroke punk ska leaning band. They're kind of like our brother band. We play shows with them a lot. We have an absolute blast. Every time you see our bands hanging out together, like there's nothing but blurry photos of us laughing because that's just how we just have fun, and their songs are great. I told them once that I had I was a little let down with myself because I like their band so much that because I thought I had better taste in music that I wouldn't love their pop earworm songs so much, like I was all drunk and like trying to like be prophetic and ended up sounding like an asshole. But I meant to say like their songs are just so good and so catchy. You're singing along with them before you even get to the end of the set, So they're one of our favorite local bands that we play with all the time. Another band from Chicago that we're super good friends with is called Counterpunch. The guitar player works at the studio that we record at. His name's Kyle Taleev, and he's one of our best friends. We call him the Frickashina, because he's with us all the time. So he's our Frickashina, the fifth Beatle, as it were.
That's great.
So then out in California, some friends of ours are a band called Strike 12 that we play with quite frequently. They toured with us last year, and I've been friends with those guys for over a decade, and everything they put out is just hilarious and amazing. Chaser is from Orange County. They're coming back to Denver for the first time in September. It'll be their first show back in town in over 10 years. So I couldn't be more excited to get to play with those guys and catch up. And, we hung out at Punk Rock Bowling, but now we get to be on our home turf, and hang out again. Generation Exit is a band we met at they're from Austin, Texas, down your general direction. And they were at Punk Rock Bowling as well, playing with us at the Hoedown. And they're just probably the nicest people you'll ever meet in your whole life. Like we immediately became best friends, within minutes of talking to each other, and we all stayed in touch and get to hang out still. And can't say enough things about Gas Station Boner Pills from Atlanta. The band name alone makes you better go check them out just because of the name,
I met them that night. Yeah.
Yeah. They're super fun. Like they're hilarious. Their videos are hilarious. Dial Drive is a band from Florida that we hang out with a lot. Love those guys. They're on tour right now. They're actually playing in Denver in a couple days, but I'm leaving town and won't get to see the show, unfortunately. And then our best buds, the Bastard Sons, are from down South Florida range as well. We play with them a lot. I've known them for 10 years or more since my old band. And that's the last band I want to give a shout out to in Denver is No Bueno. They're still out doing a band. They're still playing. They've got a new guitar player who happens to be my best friend. Literally was the best man at my wedding, is now the guitar player in No Bueno in my place. And he's making the songs sound way better than they ever did before. So it's pretty cool to see him having fun and that band still thriving and playing some awesome shows together. And we get to play together too. So it's really fun to see my old band as a fan now instead of being part of it, So that's a few bands. Hopefully you guys go check them out on Spotify, YouTube, look up their websites, buy some of their records, buy their shirts. Most of those bands all tour and are out playing shows and festivals. And so there's a pretty good chance you'll find them in your town soon enough.
Cool. And yeah, it's all about supporting one another. I mean, that's at the end of the day, we got to support one another. We have to support art. Punk rock, pop rock, progressive rock, country, you name it. We just got to support it because it brings so much joy and entertainment to people, and it makes life a heck of a lot better. I've said it on this on the hang before. That experience of punk rock bowling weekend, it felt like family. Everybody, like you've got all these people, and it just felt like a family and a community. It was a great experience, and we hope to be back there next year, and hopefully we'll see the Frickashinas performing stage adjacent at Punk Rock Bowling 2025. Jeremiah, it has been a fabulous time getting to hang with you. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah, man.
Next time we won't allow this much time to transpire. We'll get it. We'll done it quicker. Everybody, thanks for supporting the channel. We're gonna make sure down in the links you can find the Frickashinas website and their YouTube, so you can watch their videos and go out and share the joy of what we're doing here when we hang with other people. So, Jeremiah, thanks for joining. It's been great to see you, and we'll talk again soon.
Right on, Scott. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.